right, WSTU, it is 9:06, and that means it is time for the Forum with your host, Pat Sacco.
Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Pat.
How are you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Good. We had a fantastic breakfast yesterday
Oh, good.
with the senior networking group. We were at Sandhill Cove. I think we had between 80 and 90 people there. A lot of people brought gifts to raffle off with their business cards, and we did a 50-50. It was like a couple $100. Just a lot of laughing and enjoying and meeting people. It was just one of these nice, you walk away thinking, wow, that was okay. That was cool. I want to go back again.
Nice.
So I call our group Chamber on steroids.
Okay.
We're a little bit different. We do different things. Anyway, I'm here today with a great guest. That's me. I keep telling myself that because nobody ever says that to me. And I'm the one that has to give myself that feedback. I have a book with me, and I've referenced this a number of times, and I'm showing it. Of course, you can't see it up close, but it's called Caring for a Person with Alzheimer's Disease.
Mm-hmm.
And the subtitle is Your Easy-to-Use Guide from the National Institute of Aging. And I call this the Encyclopedia of Caring for an Alzheimer's dementia person.
And it's not a big book. It's not an encyclopedia.
But there are bullet points in here. I love bullet points rather than long descriptions of things.
So it's easy to read.
Very easy to read. And it's the kind of book, there was a book called The 36-Hour Day about caring for Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And they recommend you don't read the whole thing from beginning to end in one shot. You just read pieces at a time. Well, this gives you pieces. I'm just going to go through the table of contents, just as an example. And we're going to highlight some things today. First of all, there's a section called Understanding Alzheimer's Disease, the stages of Alzheimer's disease and what they mean, how to learn more about Alzheimer's disease. Then there's a section on caring for a person with AD, understanding how AD changes people, challenges and coping strategies, helping family members and others understand it, planning ahead, health, legal, and financial issues, keeping the person with AD safe, providing everyday care for people with AD, and adapting activities for people with AD. Then when you need help, getting help for it, finding the right place for the help. The medical side, medicines to treat AD symptoms and behaviors, common medical problems with people with AD. Then the coping with the last stages of AD and end-of-life care and caring for yourself. How do you care for yourself? And then they encourage you to join a clinical trial because they're trying to get data on thousands upon thousands of people. Alzheimer's Association has this big thing about clinical trials, and they're trying to get people to sign up. You may or may not have dementia. But again, we need controls. They need victims. Okay, so this is a nice way to solidify it.
It's interesting. I don't know if I've ever really heard of big organizations like that being like, we need people to go to these clinical trials.
Yeah, right. But it's, how do you get them? How do you get them,
Right, yeah.
It's like the latest thing I just heard on TV or on radio about using animals for testing with pharmaceutical companies. There's a big hue and a cry to not do that. You're killing animals just for research.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been doing that for years and years and years. But now all of a sudden there's an awareness that we're really harming a species or a bunch of species.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped doing eye irritation tests on rabbits with makeup. They would take this bad stuff and put it near their eye or in their eye, and they get all kinds of eye problems. Oh, well, then we shouldn't use that in humans.
Right.
Well, maybe there are different ways of approaching these things,
Yeah.
But anyway, before we got on the air, Mike, I mentioned something about Mike with restaurants, and I'm just going to go to that right now because he was a waiter. I was a bartender.
Okay.
They didn't come up to well, if they could walk, they came up to the bar. If not, we had to deliver the meals because they couldn't get up. And there's a section called Eating Out. And a couple of these things jogged my memory because I wouldn't have come up with them quickly. Going out to eat can be a welcome change, but it also can have some challenges. Planning can help, but you need to think about the layout of the restaurant, the menu, the noise level, waiting times, and the helpfulness of staff. Wow. When you go out with older people, you have to do that too, because they're not going to want to stand and wait 40 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to sit. Okay. And they may want to sit, they may need to sit. Here's some of the tips. Does the person with the disease know the restaurant well? Well, it should be going to places that he or she does know, rather than new restaurants all the time. There might be a glimmer of familiarity if you went to Bonefish Grill, or if you went to Carrabba's, or you went to Olive Garden. That may have been one of their favorite places to go. That's what you do. You don't pick a brand new one, because there's more panic in a strange situation. There's more comfort in a situation that you may have been in before.
If you're in a new area, though, could you pick a new place and then just go there consistently and build up that familiarity over time?
Yeah, and most places do have national restaurants. There is a Olive Garden, there is a Carrabba's, there are national restaurants there. There is a Chili's. Those kinds of places that you go, at least you got some familiarity with it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is it a quiet or a noisy place? Now, working with people with hearing aids and hearing loss, we would recommend to not go to a restaurant that doesn't have an acoustical ceiling or doesn't have carpeting, because sound bounces all over the place. And it's very disconcerting. Even if you have a noise suppression system in your hearing aid, it makes it very, very difficult to communicate because of all the noise generation. Are tables easy to get to? Do you need to wait before you can get seated? And when you wait, what do? You do something. Can't just stand there, okay? Is the service quick enough to keep the person from getting restless? So right away, somebody comes and says, I'll be with you in a minute. She said, could you bring us some water? And when you bring it, say, I'll pour it. And leave the carafe on the table and pour half a glass, not a full glass, to this person. If they have a full glass, they may pick it up and start shaking and spill it all over the place, where you can continue to fill it if there needs. Does the restroom meet the person's needs? Interesting. Let's say you have a loved one who's also in a wheelchair, but the doorway isn't wide enough to get that wheelchair in. Now what do? You got to pick them up and kind of drag them inside or whatever, somehow. Are the foods the person with AD likes on the menu? They like mac and cheese. He eats mac and cheese all the time. Put mac and cheese from, they'll scarf it up. Well, there's no mac and cheese on the menu. Okay, so what else did that person like? Make sure, and don't do experimental. Well, let's see if he likes the cod.
Right.
Or let's have him try the salmon. Hey, guy never ate fish in his life.
It's the opposite of children. With children, you want to encourage them to broaden their horizons, but with somebody suffering through AD, you want them to be familiar and stay with what they know.
Exactly. When little Mikes come along, I hope there will be someday where there will be some little Mikes, or at least one little Mike.
Hopefully,
or Michelle.
Yeah, it's 2018. Whatever they want.
The rule is you have to try it. I don't know if I ever liked it before, but I never tried it. You have to try it. Now, if you don't like it, fine. At least we've established the fact that you don't like it. Don't tell me you don't like it if you haven't tried it yet.
Right.
Children are empty vessels, Mike, and it's a difficult thing as a parent to help fill that brain. Because if you don't fill that brain, outside of you will fill it. The street will fill it. The school will fill it. Their friends will fill it. And you set in those value systems they say that a child's moral structure is embedded by the age of 3. And what do the parents do? The parents establish that moral structure. I was just talking to a friend who has a 12-year-old daughter, very talented tennis player. She's in school, in elementary school. She practices with the high school seniors in tennis. She's that good. And she said, well, she gets distracted by the cell phone and the iPad. I said, what do you control? She said, I control everything. She said, I give her times when she can do it, and I take times away when she can't. She's more than welcome to bring friends over for an overnight, but my child doesn't go anywhere outside of my home. She can bring her friends in, but she doesn't go overnight in somebody else's house. She doesn't go to the mall with her girlfriends.
Interesting.
And the little girl tolerates. Well, I think the girl is so tired from practice all the time. and that's another beautiful thing to do. Take a child and inundate them with cheerleading, gymnastics, baseball, whatever, inundate them with things, and they come home and they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to go out. It worked for me. I mean, my son, anyway. Okay, what else? Is the staff understanding and helpful? Now, the Alzheimer's Association and several other places, I think Alzheimer's Community Care also has it's a business card, laminated card, and it says, you hand it to the waiter. My loved one has a difficulty in communication or something like that. Please be patient, because the waiter will look at him and say, what would you like for dinner? And they're just, the look you get back like speaking Chinese. I don't understand me, Again, we go back. Remember those levels of demand, like the answers embedded in the question? I know two things this person likes. And I'm going to say to him, do you want chicken or chili? Now, those are two of his favorites. He more likely will give me the name of one of those rather than what would you like? What would you like is a level 2. The referent is present, but the answer is not. See, that hierarchy works wherever you go. You get it down to the base level where we know they can respond.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And again, you just ask the waiter for patience. That's all. And you as a waiter, you would have said, sure, okay, fine. See, now you are part of us rather than another factor against us out there. Like, how you get nervous, you're shifting your weight back and forth. You got your pad, people are screaming for you. And you want to say, look, just order and get out. Come on, hurry up. And we don't do that. Okay. Before going to a restaurant, decide if it's a good day to go. They may be having problems that day. They're different. They're agitated or tired or something. That's not a good time to go out. When they seem to be ready for that, this is good. When is the best time to go? Going out earlier in the day may be best. So the person is not too tired. Let's go to early bird.
Okay.
That's the popular thing. I guess once you're over 90, you have to go to early bird. In Florida, there's a rule, it's written on your visa that you have to be in a restaurant by between 4 and 6. I'm only kidding. Service may be quicker, especially, and there may be fewer people. If you decide to go later, try to get the person to take a nap first. Good idea. All right, lay down. You feeling better? Okay, let's go to dinner. What will you take with you? You may need to take utensils, a towel, wipes, or toilet items that the person already uses. If so, make sure this is okay with the restaurant. Okay, now at the restaurant, tell the waiter or waitress about any special needs, such as extra spoons, bowls, or napkins. And it's always good to get a lobster bib.
A lobster bib?
Yeah.
Even if you're not having lobster?
Right.
Okay.
Because you may be a sloppy eater at that point. And so it's going to go on your lobster bib rather than on your shirt.
Right.
I'm not saying you get one of those little baby bib things, but a lobster bib works nicely. Ask for a table near the washroom and in a quiet area. We never thought about that before. I mean, I don't want them to be on the other end of the restaurant. If we're going to have bathroom needs. I want them to be, closer to that. Help the person choose his or her own meal if needed. Suggest the foods the person likes. We already started. Read the parts of the menu or show the person a picture of the food. Limit the number of choices. Now, they say label things at home. Don't label the door bathroom with a word. Put a picture of the toilet on the door.
Okay.
Don't say bedroom. Put a picture of a bed on the door that goes into the bedroom, because they may not have that ability to read. You might think they do, but they don't. And if they're confused. If I see a toilet and I got to go to the bathroom, I'm more likely to associate that room.
Right.
Kitchen, pictures of some food or something like that. These are all what I call professional intuition, which is another way of saying common sense.
Right.
How do I best set up this environment? See, if I'm dealing with all of these things, I'm not going to be so upset. I'm not going to be so frustrated. I'm not going to be so despondent and depressed there. This guy, I'm working with him. I'm doing things to set things up. I'm actively engaged. Remember that word? That's the magic word. I'm actively engaged in this person's life. And again, I don't mean to make the analogy of a child, but this is what we do with a child. We have to pack a bag, a diaper bag. We have to, do all these things, maybe utensils. We have to get a high chair. All those things we accommodate. Well, we have to have the accommodation now again for this senior or for this person with dementia. Ask the waiter or waitress to fill the glasses half full or leave the drinks for you to serve. Order some finger foods or snacks to hold the attention of the person. Might look at the appetizers. There might be some, not wings, but celery or munchies or some kind of a bread thing that give them at least something to do before the meal comes. Go with the person to the restaurant. Go into the stall if the person needs help. You can't just say, all right, go on in. And they're going to go in and just look around like, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're embarrassed by that and you're with another person, have the two of you go there and one person stay on outside the door. If somebody needs to go to the bathroom, say, excuse me, my wife is in there with our mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she needed help. So my wife went in there to do that. Then it's okay too. As long as you tell people what's happening, they understand, they will accommodate.
Usually.
Why are you using the men's bathroom? You're a woman. Why are you going in there? Well, because there was an emergency and the women's room was down around the other corner. We had to get in here. Oh, okay. It's like, when you're driving in heavy traffic and somebody's trying to pull into your lane
Mm-hmm.
and they look at you longingly and you pretend you don't see them and you edge up to the car in front of you. And they're looking longingly, or they're going like this. If they make a gesture, like normally you would say, sure, come on.
Mm-hmm.
They wave their hand and look at you and say, like, non-verbally, may I please come in? More often than not, you let them in.
Right.
But if you don't, you just pretend they're not there. See? Like, no, took me so long to get to this spot. I'm not going to let anybody in. And they have to wait for another light. And it takes, 5-6 seconds for somebody to slide in as traffic is moving. And once you change that from a no conversation to a nice gesture and a thank you. A lot of times people will, tip their hat to you kind of thing or wave or give you okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or king salmon. It's amazing how people who are not engaging with other people in this society anymore. You don't go through the grocery store and a lady goes by and say, hey, hi, how are you? You don't do that. Like, well, I would never do that. But if somebody said, hi, how are you? What are you going to say? Fine, how are you? I mean, then I turn into a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I turn into a people from the 1960s. Then I'm not afraid of this person who's going to pull a gun on me. I'm not insulted because they're invading my world. It's like we're just bonding for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I do a funny thing at the grocery store. And I think I've said this many times. Years ago, I read an article on endorphins. And our brain is filled with endorphins. And when we laugh, the brain sloughs off some of these endorphins into our system. And those sloughings take a little bit of the edge off pain. So if you're hurting, the more you laugh, the less likely you're going to feel that pain as if you weren't laughing. So I try to get everybody to laugh as much as I can. And I'm going down the grocery aisle and the lady's coming and she says, excuse me, would you move your cart? And I'll say, sure, give me $1. And she laughs. Okay. And I'll say, nobody's ever given me $1, by the way.
Oh, that's a shame.
Or somebody says, oh, wait, let me move my cart. And I look at her and say, don't you ever do that again. And then they start laughing. Why not? It's playing with people. It's playing with yourself. And I feel a little better because I'm laughing too.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's certain people who look for me in the grocery store now. Cheer me up a little bit. But why not? We're grouchy and grumpy all the time. We're in our own little world. There's nobody else existing. When we were children, we lived in what's called an egocentric environment. A little child will not learn social graces. Little 3-year-old's trying to get mommy's attention. Mommy's talking to somebody. And she's pulling on mommy's sleeve. Mommy, 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 mommy. Because her world is not being satisfied. And she doesn't realize that I have to wait in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the older we get, the more egocentric we become. Our world is our world. I don't want anybody disrupting it. I don't want anybody let anybody in. And that's sad. We got to be just a little more like the lady who's fumbling at the checkout for looking for her checkbook.
Mm-hmm.
She's 89 years old and her hand is shaking and everything. What would I say to her? Hey, while you're at it, write me a check too. And I get a laugh, okay? And then the people in line will sort of settle down and laugh a little bit too. Like, come on, lady, hurry up. Yeah,
right.
Kind of thing. It's just a matter of being courteous and enjoying things. That's all. I mean, we can feel a whole lot better if we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's just eating out. There's a whole regimen of this. One of the things I also want to talk about today is communication, because in here there is a section on communication. Where is it? Let me go to the page. I think it was.
And this is in that workbook that's
This is all
provided
in
by
this
the government.
Yes.
And it's your, as you call it, the encyclopedia of helping people with AD, Alzheimer's disease.
Or dementia.
Remember
the umbrella, the dementia umbrella, and the spoke is Alzheimer's.
Right.
But there's the Parkinson, there's the drug induced, there's AIDS induced, there's the football player head injury induced, but that dementia. Okay. And it's helping children understand Alzheimer's disease. One of the things we need to do is to get the counties to put in a small curriculum, a small unit in their health care classes, I think around junior high or whatever they take, on dementia, coping with it. What do you do? And I've used the example, a little 10-year-old girl comes home and says, Mommy, I want to go play. And Mommy says, I have to go to the store, and Grandma lives with us. Grandma has dementia. Watch Grandma, okay? And 5 minutes after Mommy leaves, Grandma's putting her coat on to go down and get her kids at the bus stop.
Right.
What does that kid do? Grab Grandma's leg? Bar the door?
Right.
No, we teach her to say this. Grandma, where did Mommy go? Mommy left, right? Yeah. Mommy went to the bus stop to pick up the children. You don't have to go. She's going to bring them home for you. And Grandma says, oh, okay. And 2 minutes later, Grandma forgot. That's a diffusing of, is that a lie? It's a technique. We cannot bring Grandma back into our environment and our reality. We have to go into her reality. Simple thing to do. If you believe in any kind of a deity, God will forgive you. Okay? Because you're making things easier for them, for us. And there's no fighting, no stress, no anger, no belligerence. It's just, oh, okay, fine, I remember in a nursing home, this 92, 94-year-old lady was in a wheelchair and kept wheeling around all day long. Mother, 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 mother. And one of the nurses got very frustrated when I said, Gladys, your mother is dead. And she said, oh, no, when did that happen? It probably happened 40 years ago. But suddenly she hit her with a real bad thing.
Right.
Mother went to the store. Mother will be back soon. Okay. Mother's taking a nap. Don't make any noise. Shh. She'll wake up soon. Let's come up with something that pacifies the situation. Another thing, we look back toward what they did for a living. There was another woman who there were 2 nursing stations. She would go to one nursing station. There was paper all over. She was doing it. They said, leave that alone. Don't touch that paper. Well, then they found out she was for years, a supervisor of 30 secretaries.
Oh, really?
So what they did was they set up a thing. They took paper and messed it all up. And she went to the nurse's station and she fixed it, made it in a nice pile. And they said, well, there's some more down there. They sent her up to the other nurse's station who had done that. She fixed it. By the time she was done, they sent her back and they made a mess here again. And all day long, she went back and forth straightening the papers. And was never a problem again. Well, hello. Rather than get out of here, don't touch that stuff. No, make a pile for her to touch. It's like if a kid is writing with a magic marker, give them a water-soluble one. So you can wipe it off. Don't say you can never use those the rest of your life. So again, it's a matter of looking back. What was their favorite kind of thing? Let's say somebody was a woodworking person and they built little sailboats. Okay, get them a book about sailboats. Go down to the lake if somebody's got a little motorized sailboat. Watch that. I mean, those are the kickback things. And that's another thing to do, engage with them, go through something fun, talk about the boat, talk about the color, talk about the water, do a lot of things like that. It just goes on and on. When you begin to be creative, excuse me, when you begin to be creative, you can come up with a lot of neat stuff. Let me find that communication section. Oh, it's I think it's right here.
Yeah, and once again, this is that book that you can get for free
This is the free
from the
book.
government.
And let me give you a reference on it. This is from the National Institute on Aging. If you have a pen, pencil, or prick your finger and take some blood.
No,
and
don't
write
do
it-
that. Don't
Write
do that
it
one.
on a napkin. All right. National Institute on Aging. And the publication is number 12-6173. That's 12-6173. And that's the National Institute of Aging. And I'll give you the address and phone number in a bit here. We even cover spiritual activities. Why would we do spiritual activities? We're not supposed to do that anymore, right? But these people were raised in a religion, most of them, elderly people, So why not capitalize worship, religious holidays or readings or prayer, holiday rituals? What would be a holiday ritual?
What? Prayer before
Prayer before
dinner?
a meal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Blue Bloods on TV?
No.
The police show with Tom Selleck.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailers, but
They always have a family dinner.
okay.
And somebody says a prayer before they eat.
Right.
And there are about 8 or 9 of them. Ritual might be like for us at Christmas time, we used to go to midnight mass, but before midnight, you couldn't eat meat. And after midnight mass, then they broke out the roast, the macaroni, the the chicken. Before that, they would make a sauce with fish flavored spaghetti sauce. Or they would serve something I could never stomach, tripe.
Yeah.
I don't know why you just sit there and chew and chew and chew on this stuff. Anyway, it's like bubble gum that doesn't taste good. But there were the rituals from the things. Ritual in Thanksgiving is turkey.
Right.
Although I've heard that was not what was served at our first Thanksgiving.
There's a lot of stuff served, but I don't know if turkey was one of them.
I'm not sure it was turkey. Yeah, I don't think so. I know the corn was served because that was the Indians' maize.
Mhm.
It was different from what the pilgrims had tasted before. But again, you look at the spiritual. What about the music? Sometimes you can get a song that's a religious song. I don't know if you've ever listened to Elvis's recordings of all his religious songs.
I've heard some.
They are fantastic. I mean, he really had a gift for that. And that wasn't a popular thing that people were playing on the radio all the time. But he did some beautiful stuff there. Even if the person with this dementia has a problem finding the right words to speak, he still may be able to sing songs or hymns from the past. Why? Simple answer. Our left brain is our organizational brain, is our communication brain. Okay? Our right brain is our more creative side of us.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't sing a song if you don't know the melody. You can't sing a song well if you don't know the words. But if you've already known that song and words, you can get a bunch of people from a nursing home or in wheelchairs that hardly ever speak or anything, put them in a room and start singing. They start singing. Right brain kicks in. We have to really think about it. It's like counting 1, 2. Let me think. What is coming after 2? 4? Oh, no, 3. It's a rote thing you've memorized, you've learned. It's in your brain.
So wait, does Alzheimer's only affect the left side of the brain?
Alzheimer's disease affects the creative communication, the creative life of a person. That they may not be able to say what they want to say. They might not be able to understand what's going on around with language anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They may even revert back to. I know people with strokes who were Italian by birth, and reverted back to Italian and lost language of English.
Wow. I
had to modify a test in Italian for a resident. This was years ago in Indiana. I was doing like a traveling diagnostician with 6 hospitals. It was an experiment with the Department of Health. And when somebody had a stroke, I had to go to the hospital, counsel the family, try to set things up. And they wanted me to test this one lady, but she didn't speak English. So I had to rewrite the test. I'm sure I didn't do a good job, but I had to rewrite the test in Italian. See, now that we have translator, I wouldn't have had to do that.
Right.
I could have just spoken the English words and pointed them at it. And it hit play Italian and it would play it back. And she would say something and I hit play in English and I'd hear it back.
Wow.
That's like the Star Trek Universal, what did they call it?
The Universal Translator.
Yeah, the Universal Translator. And we have that now.
Basically.
Although in Chinese, you can't repeat it. It's in writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When you say something, it translates it in writing to Chinese.
Hmm.
Then when they say it, it translates back to English. So, it's a really cool thing. And Zello, we talked about Zello.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was in Aruba last week, and we had a conversation.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost anything.
No, it's all over the web.
It's all over the web. He called me. He said, "How's it going?" I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm in Aruba." I said, "And you're calling me?" "No." "Well, it's like a CD mic. You push and you talk and you let go, and then they respond."
But it's an app for your
It
smartphone.
was really cool.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody was telling me there's an app now for both BJ's and Sam's. I have the Sam's one where I can go and grab something off the shelf and click it on my phone, their barcode, until my cart fills up, and I just go to the doorway and I push a button and the receipt comes up on my phone.
Oh, wow.
They copy it and I walk out. I don't
Really?
have to get in line anymore to buy stuff.
That's interesting.
Isn't that cool? There are a couple systems like that out there now.
That's a lot of trust in the
We're just
consumer, though.
Yeah, right. Well, you're not going to leave that building unless you have a receipt of some kind.
What's to stop you from putting, maybe you only pay for 1 can, but you put 3 cans in there?
Yeah, right. That happens. I'm sure that happens. Or when you go and check out at one of these places, they take your sheet and you got 400 items and they check 3 of them.
They spot check.
Yeah, what's to prevent people from putting stuff in there that it's not on the list?
Mm-hmm.
Or say, I didn't realize it was there. I'm sure that happens a lot. But it's a cool app to have.
It is cool.
And I think that's they also said, I don't know if it was Walmart. I think it's Walmart. There's Lowe's. Lowe's has an app where you can type in, I need bolts. And it'll tell you what aisle the bolts are on.
Nice. That is handy.
Those people have to memorize how many thousands of items in those stores between Home Depot and Lowe's. Yeah. Thousands. And you're always looking for weird stuff. Like I need this little ratchet for the guy goes right over there. Normally you go to any other store and they go, that section back there, that half of the store.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a little app that tells you where to go.
That's good.
That's really neat. Okay. How about we take a little break?
Okay, we could do that.
Good.
We'll take a break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. And we go back to the forum with your host, Pat Sacco.
And here we're back with coping with a person with Alzheimer's disease or with dementia. I mentioned that we can get information through the National Institute of Aging, and I have a phone number for them. You have to do is call them and give them that publication number, which I'll go over again. And the National Institute of Aging is the following: 800-222-2225. That's an easy one to remember.
Very easy.
222-2225. And again, this is publication. I'll find that number again. It's called Caring for a Person with Alzheimer's Disease. The National Institute on Aging, 800-222-2225.
There you go.
Yes. Okay. I don't have the number again. Anyway, let me just highlight one or two more things. We're going to be wrapping up very shortly. Here's something here, which is a very, very interesting but necessary thing to talk about, is wandering. Many people with this disease wander away from their home or the caregiver. As a caregiver, you need to know how to limit wandering and prevent the person from becoming lost. This will help the person be safe and give you a greater peace of mind. Now, there have been various attempts at GPS locating systems. They put them in a bracelet, like a watch. That can be taken off or be cut or whatever. One company was doing it in a shoe, thinking, but they can take their shoes off.
Right.
Probably the best thing for me to suggest, and it's not happening, it's probably not going to happen, but with like a pet, you can inject a little tiny grain of sand transmitter, which is GPS locator. I would think that we should go through the court if a person is totally incapable and they're under a guardianship, that maybe a little grain of sand chip be put in their arm or their neck or whatever, little owie, nothing big. And yet we could locate that person in a second. Now, the people who've had these bracelets, they can find them within 12 minutes. What they'll do, they send an airplane up, and the airplane and a car together spot the person. And it takes 10 to 12 minutes. Problem is, like even a helicopter is $1,000 an hour.
Right.
For utilization. But you can get them right away. A bracelet is fine. It says, I have Alzheimer's disease, or I have trouble communicating, call this number. But the GPS system is an instant wherever you are in the world. You can be found. Zap. Mm-hmm. Again, now there are probably moral and legal issues.
Oh, yeah.
And ACLU would take that up as a champion cause right away. But again, we're talking about safety. And we're talking about a person who does not have the ability to avoid danger. Like getting in a car and driving to Cleveland because they wanted to go get something at the grocery store. And Lord knows how they made it through all those interstates. But sometimes they can do that. And they find people at the strangest places when they tend to wander. All right, we got to make sure they carry some kind of identification or a medical bracelet. At least that bracelet will show who they are and about the illness. The Medical Alert Alzheimer's Association has a safe return program that there may be a charge for that bracelet. Okay, I know that Alzheimer's Community Care has the radio activated bracelet also, and that's one of our area agencies. Let the neighbors and the police know that the person with AD tends to wander. A lot of times you're in a smaller neighborhood. There's a policeman that relates to that neighborhood, that drives around the car all the time. You might flag him down and say, hey, I just want you to know my husband has Alzheimer's. Hopefully he doesn't wander, but just to let you know, kind of thing. Keep a recent photograph or video recording your person to help police if the person becomes lost. Don't pull out the picture of him in his Army uniform, 57 years ago. Because it's changed a little bit. He looks a little different. Keep doors locked. Consider a keyed deadbolt or another lock placed up high or down low on the door from the inside. Okay. If the person can open a lock, you may need to get a new latch or lock. You could put in a lock with a combination, a padlock with a combination thing. So therefore, he's not going to find a key, and he probably won't be able to put the 0247
Right.
in the lock to open it up.
Right.
Install an announcing system that chimes when the door opens. A lot of times you'll hear that and it goes ding dong, ding dong.
Yep.
Well, okay, that's at least it alerts it.
A great way to know if somebody else is in the house. Hey, somebody just opened the door.
A lot of times they'll go for windows. There's a really cool thing you can do, and it works for many dementia patients. Take a black rug and put it in front of the window.
A black rug?
A black rug. And when they see that, they see a hole.
Oh.
They're not going to step in the hole. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
A black rug sometimes will divert them. And again, colors in the room. We talked about putting a picture on a door. Let's say there's stairs. Well, let's put bright strips of red on each stair. So visually, they're seeing that as they climb. Another little helpful hint. We want to pick up all the throw rugs in the house. Throw rugs are slippery. If they fall and they fracture a hip, they may not get up on their feet ever again. That kind of thing. We have to put safety strips in the bathroom. If you have a tub, put safety strips in the tub. Make sure you have a number of good hand grips, hand rails next to the toilet and in the bathroom, in the bathtub itself. So they can grab a thing. Elderly people a lot of times don't bathe. They're afraid of the tile.
Sure.
Slice little slip, man. You're toast. You got all these places, these things that are going to hurt you badly. There's no cushioning. We don't have sponges in the toilet.
Right.
You know. But again, even with the toilet, you need hand grips to sit down and stand up. Got to make sure your doorways are wide enough if you have a wheelchair. Because you can't be struggling and getting up and walk in and walk out and stuff like that. How about the height of the bed?
Oh, yeah.
That's something we have to think about. Some of these mattresses now, we have a brand name because I have a bad back. A Prana. I think you've seen that ad on TV. The guy, the Asian guy with a long ponytail. That's high.
Yeah, ours is high too, and we don't have it on risers. It's just naturally high.
Right. Now, what do? How do you cope with that? Well, one of the ways you cope with that is to make sure you get rails that sit on either side of the mattress rather than under the mattress. It'll still support the headboard and footboard, but the mattress now drops down almost a foot, making it easier to get into. I wouldn't put a stool there to climb on the stool and get in there. Or many times what you can do is have a person sit on the bed and then take their legs and swing them into the bed. There are a few things. We have to make some adjustments. And again, if I'm clever with things like this, in the nursing home I worked in, they had light blue tile in the hallway, these 1 foot squares. And on the edges, they had light beige on either side of the hallway. Looked very pretty. We had one guy that would only walk on the beige.
Really?
He would get right against the wall and very carefully step on the beige and step on the beige because that blue to him looked like water.
So he thought he was at a pool.
Yes. And he didn't want to walk in the water. So he walked on the edges of the beige tile.
Wow.
We brought that up to the national company. So what are you going to do about that? Do we send him to another place that doesn't have water?
Right.
In the hallways. I got chided for that because that's what I said. Now that, well, Blue, you want to know what the harm, there's a potential harm here for this guy. He's going to fall. Yeah,
as he's tiptoeing down the side of the hallway.
Absolutely. And are we concerned with one person? Absolutely. They are. Everyone is our world. And if you got 120 beds, you got 120 worlds that you are responsible for. And you have to meet every single need of those people once you admit them in your door. Like the guy who was 600 pounds and had him sleeping on some kind of a pallet. And I was an ombudsman. I went in there and I said, where's his bed? Oh, we don't have a bed. I said, what? We don't have a bed. I said, you have to buy a bed for him.
Right.
Well, you know what it would cost? I said, you took him. And the other thing is, I said, how much does he weigh? Oh, around 610. I said, what do you mean around? How much does he weigh? Well, we don't have a scale that will weigh him. I said, you have to get a scale. You get one of those meat scales, with a wooden floor. And the big thing, you can weigh a 1,200-pound cow.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, you've got to get one of those. You mean we have to? I said, you took him. You have to meet his needs. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You should have thought of that beforehand. Now you don't have
It would have been
choice.
okay for them to say we don't have the services or the ability to give him the care he needs.
We don't have the ability to care for him. Oh, but they saw it as, oh, yeah, here, good. Income. Well, guess what? It cost them a bit. But they had to do it.
Mm-hmm. Got to take care. Nothing saying that they had to take him.
But they're a human being, Mike. They're human beings, and they have needs. We're never going to eliminate nursing homes. There will always be a need for that level of care.
We're probably going to need more and more of them.
Right. But maybe we can change the environment. Why don't we have a house that has 10 beds in it and another house that has 10 beds in it and 10 houses with 10 beds rather than one building with long hallways, institutional thing.
Mm-hmm.
Make it more home-like. That we can do those things. We will eventually do that. But anyway, I didn't get started on this, but I just want to do snippets every once in a while. This is a wonderful book. It's called Coping or Caring for a Person with Alzheimer's Disease from National Institute on Aging. And we gave you the number, which was 800. I want to say 222. 5. Yes, it was 5.
Yeah, lots of 2s and then a 5. And I'm sure if you go to the National Institute on Aging website, I'm sure there's going to be a way to either see the phone number there or
.gov.
or put an order in for this, as you call it, the encyclopedia of Alzheimer's disease.
And one of the last things to realize is you could look them in the eye and say, look, I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can.
That's all we can do.
Right. Okay, and we will be back next week with a more entertaining guest, I'm sure, on the forum.